I just remember most of my life, ever since I was a little girl, just realizing and noticing something felt off, something felt wrong, something felt different about me. And then I remember the first time I drank alcohol, and my nervous system calmed down for the first time, I think. And I was never the same after that. So by the time I was 18 years old, I was in a bad relationship. It was a very abusive relationship. I learned to use alcohol and drugs to exist. So by the time I was 22, I was addicted to meth. I was dying slowly. That's when I went to my first program. And I found freedom from drugs, but I never found freedom from alcohol. I had gone through so many programs. I had done everything I could think of. I had given all the strength that I possibly had to free myself from alcoholism, even with faith involved in all of that. For the first time, I had reached the point where I was ready to give up because I didn't know what else to do. That had never happened to me before. I had never contemplated suicide. When you fight and you fight and you fight, and people are watching from the outside too. I reached this place where I was ready to give up, and because I had nothing left to give and I knew something was wrong. And by that time, maybe when I was about 28 or 29, I started to highly suspect that possibly I could be on the spectrum. So my sister actually came to Amen Clinics about 1.5 years ago, and it impacted her incredibly. And it gave her a direction of where to go next. So I came to Amen Clinics about 6 months ago. I walked through the scans and I followed up with Dr. Storage. That moment changed my entire life because I had lived an entire lifetime suspecting all of these things about myself. And, until I was about 28 years old, finally found the vocabulary to describe what led me into my addictions and what led me to drink and just who I was. Seeing how many things could have potentially just been traumatic brain injury. When you see that and how it can impact the decisions you make and what you do and your chemistry, it really makes a difference because most people who find themselves in an abusive relationship, they tend to think it's their fault and they don't realize how it could impact their future. Head trauma is just not something I thought about before I came to Amen Clinics. And ever since then, I've gotten to look back on my entire life through this new lens. And I'm not angry anymore because I've spent my whole life being angry at who I was because I didn't understand myself. I'm glad that I took the time to ask myself what was actually going on when I was able to become sober and when I had people around me to support that, because nobody remains in an addiction for no reason. And it wasn't until I came to Amen Clinics that I was able to finally stop drinking. And so now I'm sober for 6 months for the first time outside of a program. You don't think about your genetics. You don't think about your chemistry. And so now I think about those things. If you're in a place that you are struggling with alcoholism or even drug addiction, anything, you're not stuck that way. You're worth knowing why you're in that place. It could be so many things, but everybody deserves freedom and everybody deserves to know themselves and to love themselves the way that they are. And I don't think you can really love yourself until you know yourself.